Children, EYFS at home. So here's the first of our stories. As you can see, it's Arthur B. has a secret, but I can't tell you what the secret is yet, because you're just going to have to wait and see till the end. Everyone's here to listen. As you can... Whoa, where are you going? I'm just listening. Stay there. Okay. Arthur B. has a secret. Written by me, Sean Malay, and illustrated by Carol Chevalier. Arthur B. has a secret. Are we ready? Here we go. Arthur B. was a fluffy black and yellow bumblebee, and he lived in a beehive with hundreds of other black and yellow bumblebees, and he was very, 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 very happy. But he did have a secret. I hope you can see that. All the bees would take it in turns to go and collect sticky pollen from flowers to make beautiful honey. But when it was Arthur's turn to go, he would always say the same thing. He would always say, no, 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 I'm not going. Because you see, Arthur had a secret. So the other bees went to collect the sticky pollen without Arthur. The bees would collect sticky pollen from as many flowers as they could and carry it back to the hive in special little pouches on their legs. There they would turn it into beautiful golden honey. So there's the little beehive and some flowers. And there's lots of little bees flying around. Arthur was very good when it came to turning sticky pollen into beautiful golden honey. He would wear his special white coat with his very own name badge on it and his special safety goggles. He would then mix a little bit of this with a little bit of that, and hey presto, the sticky pollen would turn into beautiful golden honey. And there he is in his laboratory with his white coat. The queen bee was very proud of all her worker bees, and she was especially proud of the delicious golden honey that they made. And the people in the town, well, they said, it's the finest golden honey in the whole land. And everyone agreed. Queen Bee thought it was very important that all her bees took turns to go and collect the sticky pollen to make delicious golden honey. But when Queen Bee found out that Arthur Bee refused to go and collect sticky pollen, well, she was very, 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 very angry. Bring Arthur Bee to me, she shouted. And so Arthur Bee was brought to Queen Bee. I am told that you refuse to go and collect sticky pollen with all the other bees. Is this true? Now Arthur B looked down at the floor and answered, yes, in a very quiet voice. What? Screamed Queen Bee. Why won't you go and collect sticky pollen with all the other bees? Now Arthur B wanted to tell Queen Bee his secret, but he felt silly, and so he didn't answer. But this made Queen Bee even angrier than before. Her cheeks got redder and redder, and then she screamed at the very top of her voice, get out of the beehive and never return! There's poor old Arthur there being chucked out the beehive by Queen Bee. Sadly, Arthur packed his suitcase and left. Now Arthur went to stay with his good friend Bertie Butterfly in the meadow. Bertie Butterfly made Arthur B very welcome indeed, but Bertie Butterfly was a messy butterfly. His little house was very untidy. There were newspapers all over the floor, dishes in the sink and cobwebs on the ceiling. And there's Bertie Butterfly. He lives in number 39, the meadow. Hey? Messy though. Messy meadow, that nearly rhymes. Arthur B was a very tidy bee and he couldn't stand mess. So while Bertie Butterfly was out tending to his garden, Arthur B would tidy up the whole house and put everything back in its place. But Arthur B would never stop and help Bertie Butterfly in his garden, because Arthur B had a secret. And this went on for many weeks, and both friends were happy with their arrangements, and all was well in Bertie Butterfly's home. But not all was well back in the beehive. The bees had had many complaints from the people in the town. This honey, well, it isn't beautiful and it isn't golden anymore, they all said. None of the bees could understand what had happened to their beautiful golden honey. Queen Bee called her honey makers straight away. Why isn't the honey beautiful and golden any more? She demanded to know. Now none of the bees wanted to upset Queen Bee, so none of them answered. They all just looked at the floor, twiddling their many thumbs. All but one, that is. And a little voice from the back squeaked up. Arthur B, Your Majesty. Who said that? Called Queen Bee. I did, squeaked the voice. Show yourself, demanded Queen Bee. And a young bee came to the front and kneeled before Queen Bee. Who are you? asked Queen Bee. I'm Molly Bee, replied the young bee. I work in the laboratory where we turn sticky pollen into beautiful golden honey. And there's Molly Bee there in her beautiful blue dress, kneeling before Queen Bee. Why did you say Arthur Bee when I asked what had happened to my beautiful golden honey? Asked Queen Bee. Because Arthur Bee is the best at turning sticky pollen into beautiful golden honey. No one can make it as well as him. Tom Bee has tried, but he just can't get it right, said Molly Bee. Queen Bee thought for a while, and she thought, and then, of course, she shouted, Gods! Gods! Find Arthur Bee and bring him to me! And so the guards flew all over the meadow until eventually they found Arthur Bee at Bertie Butterfly's house, where he was tidying up yet again. There's the guards there going to look for him. Queen Bee demands that you return to the hive with us immediately, ordered the guards. Oh no, I'm happy here, helping Bertie Butterfly, said Arthur Bee. He needs me here to help him tidy up, continued Arthur Bee. But the truth was that Bertie Butterfly liked his home to be messy. He liked newspapers on the floor, dishes in the sink and cobwebs on the ceiling, and he wanted his house back to normal. Listen, maybe you should just go with them. Just go with them. See what Queen Bee wants to speak to you about, Bertie Butterfly said in hope. Oh, okay then, if you're sure that you can manage without me, said Arthur. Oh, yeah. Honestly, yes, honestly, I'll be fine, smiled Bertie Butterfly. And so Arthur Bee and the guards flew back to the beehive, and Bertie Butterfly went back into his house just to mess it up. When they got back to the beehive, Arthur was brought before Queen Bee. Queen Bee told Arthur all about the trouble that they'd had trying to turn sticky pollen into beautiful golden honey. She told him that Tom Bee had tried his very best, but it still wasn't good enough. And she told him that Molly Bee said that no one could turn sticky pollen into beautiful golden honey quite like Arthur Bee. And so Queen Bee asked Arthur Bee if he would forgive her for throwing him out of the beehive, and would he come back and turn sticky pollen into beautiful golden honey once more. Arthur Bee thought for a while, and then he said, yeah, I'd love to come back. And Queen Bee was so happy that she jumped with joy. And there's Queen Bee there jumping with joy, and Arthur's very happy because he's coming back. But one thing was still puzzling Queen Bee. Why did you refuse to go and collect sticky pollen from the flowers with all the other bees? She asked. Now Arthur Bee looked too embarrassed to answer. Whisper it into my ear, said Queen Bee. And so Arthur whispered into Queen Bee's ear. Queen Bee then looked at Arthur Bee, smiled and said, so have I. So you see, both Arthur Bee and Queen Bee had a secret. Is the answer now to what the secret was. They both had hay fever. And that's why Arthur Bee couldn't collect sticky pollen from the flowers. And it was also why Queen Bee never visited any flowers. But just because they both had hay fever, it didn't stop them from being good at something else. Queen Bee was by far the best queen in the whole of the land. And Arthur Bee could mix a little bit of this and a little bit of that and turn sticky pollen into the most beautiful golden honey in the whole land. And everyone agreed. So thank you, that's the end. And there is Bertie Butterfly saying goodbye, children. And I will see you later for another story. And we will be making some things. Woo! But I'll tell you more about that later. So have a lovely morning. And I'll see you later. Bye.